Thank you, Madam Secretary, for your testimony. We'll now move into the question and answer portion of today's hearing, and I'll begin recognizing myself for 5 minutes for questions. There's no question the United States is staring down an electric reliability crisis. FERC commissioners, grid operators, state commissioners, and reliability experts have all testified in this committee about the vulnerable state of our grid and the growing likelihood of blackouts. One FERC commissioner went so far as to say, quote, there will be, in time, a catastrophic reliability event. Secretary Granholm, as Secretary of Energy, do you share these authorities' concerns about the state of our grid reliability?
I definitely share the concern that the grid is not up to what it needs to be in order to allow us to continue to grow. We know that demand for energy is increasing. We know that the grid is old, and the poles and the wires and the transformers, they need to be replaced. It was built in the 50s and 60s in many places. And so we need to continue to invest in upgrading the grid, hardening the grid, and expanding the grid.
Thank you. And to do that, we're going to need to mine more in this country. It's another agency, but critical mining for copper and other components necessary. The North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, and the grid operators have warned about policies to transition Americans away from fossil fuels, prematurely retiring coal and natural gas power plants, and canceling pipelines. You're responsible for coordinating national energy policy. Does the administration recognize that premature retirement of electric generation threatens this reliability of our grid?
We want to make sure that we manage this transition in a way that ensures the power is on and we continue to move to clean energy. So it is critical that we continue to use the tools at our disposal. We just issued a grid liftoff report, which describes some of the tools that we have not had in the past to be able to ensure we can add capacity to our grid and harden it. For example, making sure that we can reconductor to put twice the power on existing power lines, or that we use more grid-enhancing technologies to smartly move power on the grid, or to use new opportunities, tools like virtual power plants to be able to access additional power. In addition to the great opportunity that Congress gave us in the Inflation Reduction Act to incentivize additional generation of electricity. All of that is happening. We have managed increases in demand in the past, and we can manage them going forward.
Reliability means 24/7 baseload power generation that you don't get from a lot of renewables. Let me shift gears. The lack of pipeline capacity to energy-constrained regions is also a grid reliability concern. The CEO of ISO New England testified to this very committee that New England is in desperate need of more pipeline capacity, even with growth in renewables. My home state of South Carolina is facing these same issues. We had the ACP get canceled. MVP had tremendous delays. We finally were able to get that done. Secretary Granholm, you yourself have stated that pipelines are the safest way to transport fuels, whether it's gas or liquids. I agree with you. Pipelines are critical for maintaining energy reliability, especially to balance the intermittency of renewables. Do you agree that we need to build more pipelines in this country?
I think in some places we will need to build new pipelines, and I think we definitely need to build new pipelines for hydrogen, for the movement of CO2, as well as traditional energy.
Thank you. Would you rather utilize natural gas from the Marcellus or the Permian Basin, or import LNG from a foreign country?
I don't think we need to import any natural gas. We have enough supply here.
Amen to that. That's why we need pipelines in New England, because they're importing LNG. I want to thank you for your efforts on nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is a critical source of reliable generation, and so happy that the chairwoman's bill got passed by the Senate yesterday. Look forward to the president signing that. Last month, this committee held a hearing on spent nuclear fuel policy. One issue that came out of this hearing was the loss of capacity and credibility of DOE's spent fuel program after it dismantled its office dedicated to spent fuel management about 14 years ago. The law requires DOE to have a dedicated office to manage spent fuel and nuclear waste, which will help credibly address the federal government's obligations and strengthen the public's confidence. Will you look into resurrecting the Office of Civilian Radioactive Waste Management and to fulfill DOE's statutory duty under the Nuclear Policy Waste Policy Act?
Well, I do think that our Office of Nuclear Energy and our Office of Environmental Management both do aspects of that. We are interested in spent fuel use and wise storage of spent fuel as well, and both of those are being addressed in those offices.
Thank you. I take that as a no on the resurrection, but allowing the agency to continue its path. I believe it's important to establish a comprehensive fuel management plan, and that would be a good first step. I'm finished with my questions, so I'll now recognize the ranking member